Hi everyone, it's Nono here, and this is one more work session, part of the collaborative AI sketching project that we're doing on the live stream. We're gonna share many videos that are small snippets of things that we've done on the live stream and we have learned, and this is the live stream that I do at nono.ma live on YouTube. You can access it at nono.ma/live and you'll see all of the videos there. And at the moment, in this work session, we're going to be taking a look at how to create a drawing app, or how to continue that, because we've already done a fair amount of work on there, and how to connect multiple clients to draw together, or any system that you want to do for collaboration online with probably YJS, and maybe looking at technologies like WebRTC and WebSockets. Without further ado, let's get coding. So these are the objectives that we were taking a look at before, and we have some files or some parts of this project that we did last week. So let me bring this here. We're going to navigate to the repo and take a look at live 41. We take a look at this React.TS Perfect-Freehand. So let's take a look at where we were. So this is a recap. And I think this is with Yarn. I think I can do Yarn start to get this application started, because we already have all the models working. Again, if you wanna see how, what we're doing here, you probably can, you can simply go to nono.ma live 41, and in there you're gonna find in which we covered all of these things. That is gonna load here a bit heavy, but so this is the video that we are talking about. And you have chapters here, so you can navigate, focus to the parts that most interest you. We already talked about these things, like what YJS is, WebSockets versus WebRTC, and other things like that. Okay, so let's get going. So this is the application that I was showing before that we have. It's still on really early stages. This is already like a working stroke-based application. And if you take a look, there is rationalization that happens on our strokes as we move. It's not the same doing this than doing that. There is something that is happening when we move that wouldn't happen if we were not rationalizing these sketches. All right. So this is one application, and you have the source code in here. So on the github.com/nonoesp/live, and folder 41 has the source code for this application. So you can see it's pretty straightforward. If you look at it linearly, we spent some time to do it last week. And what we also discovered, and that's the other video that I released on the channel, is that in this video of freehand web drawing, is that we can really easily build the application with all of the components that we can see on this live Perfect-Freehand app online. Okay, this is something that I sketched here, and you can clear the screen. And we've seen this repeatedly, so I won't go into more detail on what this is and stuff. But one thing that I think we discovered the other day when I was talking to Nate Peters, and we'll have an episode with Nate on the podcast, right, is that this thing that you can see here when we click is I think is part of the Radix UI design system, I believe. I'm not sure. I'm not completely sure. And style UI component with, I don't know. I'm not sure. This might be true or not. We didn't really get down to what library this one actually was. Radix icons. Let's take a look here. Let's see if we can make sure that I'm saying that and it's true. So this is a popover styling. Let's see, we have a slider. Okay, it might be, I'm not too sure. Let's actually go to the Perfect-Freehand repo and take a look. So if you go into packages dev, this is the application that we were running before. And if we go to components, you have the controls, control module, index.tsx, control TSX, components, select, slider. Right, let's take a look. Control, components, select, slider. React label, Radix, React slider. All right, so this is an implementation, and it does seem like this slider comes from the Radix UI, right? So you can see here Radix UI, React slider. So this is Radix UI, and this is a slider, but there is something that is being configured here. Track, root, label. I don't know how theming works in here. Visually hidden, toolbar, can be controlled and controlled. It does seem like it looks really neat. So maybe this is something that we can also use. Keyboard interactions. So let's see if we click here. Oh wow. All right. So separators, an open source UI component library. Toggle slider. So we have these sliders. So we have it here. And if we open this in Code Sandbox, maybe we can tweak it a bit. Okay, so there is CSS styling. Let me see. Okay, slider model.css. Slider model.css. There is a bunch of stuff here. Styles. Let's just put this here. Styles.root. Yeah, anyhow. So there's a way in which you can customize this and make it look like we were seeing before. All right, so let me pop up my chat so I can see your comments better. All right, so the goal of today, as we've established in here, is to do the drawing app, right? So let me take a look and tell you what's on my mind here. So one sec, right? All right, where is this? Okay, so we have to build a drawing application. And we already had that one, so let's see from what we have in here what we would like to have. Do we want these controls at the beginning? We might not want them, or at least not all of them. Paper start. All right. So let's see. Here we have a drawing board. It also has this concept of a canvas, right? So we can be moving, which we actually wanted. So we said we wanted to have this concept of a moving canvas. So maybe we can take a look at how they implemented it. And hello, Ricardo, Cesar. Nice to see you around. Glad that you're connecting. And all right, let's see. So the components here, let's see these applications. So we have, okay, actually, let's do one thing. Let's clone it, as we did the other day on the video, and you can follow that specific video that I mentioned there. But let's actually clone it and work with it locally. So we can do git clone freehand, and then cd Perfect-Freehand, and then we can do pm install. This is gonna take a bit, so this is gonna take a bit. When I'm screen sharing, it makes it go slower, but we're just gonna wait. So we'll wait until this is resolved. My computer might lag a bit, but hopefully it doesn't take that long. And yeah, so we'll just wait. And meanwhile, I can open another window, and I can open this application on the Visual Studio Code project folder. And we're gonna take a look. So we have all our TypeScript setup, Perfect-Freehand here, dist. Yeah, I remember when I tried to start this dev project, right? So if we take a look here at the Perfect-Freehand path, it says packages Perfect-Freehand dist. So this is a package here inside that is this Perfect-Freehand, and dist doesn't exist. So I'm guessing that this is where, yeah, dist is where this application is built. So signature Perfect-Freehand files dist scripts start build. Yeah, out there these types. We can learn a lot from this project. So how is our project still fetching stuff? Okay, it seems we might have to npm install in the Perfect-Freehand directory as well. So these will go to packages, Perfect-Freehand, and we also will have to run this here. But I'm going to wait until this is resolved. All right. Hello, Juanda. Nice to see you connecting online. So Juanda is from my home, is living in my hometown. So we caught up last week or early this week. All right. TypeScript, yeah. So Lerna, I took a look the other day, is a package when your project has multiple packages. So a tool for managing JavaScript projects with multiple packages. What I'm not sure about is if Lerna is the tool that is used to build this application. Let's take a look. There, designer. All right. Let's take a look. So this yarn, right? So this code actually has an example of what we built the other day. So I'll share that there. Let's see this Lerna.json. Use workspaces, true. Okay. Packages, Lerna. Okay, so Lerna publish, Lerna list. Let's take a look. So what happens? Okay, not sure. This didn't happen the other day. See, so it says here that leave packages should be under packages, but it's not a requirement. So you have your packages here. Okay. All right, let's try again. Let's try again from scratch. Okay. So let's see. So we're going to remove the node models, and I'm going to go into packages, dev, and also remove node models, and also in Perfect-Freehand and remove the node models. So imagine I have cloned this from scratch, so the Perfect-Freehand thing, and then we're just going to do yarn. Let's see what that does, because this project it's meant to be run this way. So let's see. Okay, so if we take a look at, we already have this open on Visual Studio Code. If we take a look here at the root package.json, and we look at the scripts, start is Lerna run start stream parallel. Lerna runs Lerna build yarn build packages. All right, so that seems, I don't think this is gonna work, right? Okay, it does work. Okay, that was easier, so I might have to redo the tutorial, I think. All right, so let's re-record that really quickly. I think it's been super easy. Actually, no, let's keep moving. I don't wanna spend more time. So if we go here, so in packages, Perfect-Freehand dist. So this so just doing yarn already built these packages, and I'm not sure if that's specified somewhere. Okay, let's see. Yarn build packages. Okay, I mean, that works, so I'm not gonna fight it, but we have this dependency here that we probably don't want to rely on this dependency like this on our project. Okay, so here, if we go back and start yarn start, so we see this application, and so this is starting, and we have our infinite canvas. So maybe the first thing we can do is try to branch out, and we don't need to branch out anything because we just clone this repo. So if we were to change something, we'll still get our chain set here, and we can revert it, or we could create another branch. All right, so let's try to understand a bit how this infinite canvas or endless canvas is made. So we have this bundle application. This is what is being served, and this is the bundle, and we'll understand how this gets built later. Maybe not today. Source, components, app, index. All right. So the index only loads the app component, setting React on strict mode. Let's see what this means. Strict mode is a tool for highlighting potential problems in an application like fragment. Strict mode does not render any visible UI. It activates additional checks and warnings for its descendants. Strict mode checks are run in development mode only. They do not impact the production build. Identifying components with unsafe life cycles. Warning about legacy string ref app usage. Warning about deprecated find DOM node usage. Detecting unexpected side effects and detecting legacy context API. Alright, that sounds fair. So now we know what that is. And we can actually minimize this or even close it so we don't use a CPU. All right, so we have this, and so what I'm trying to do now, we have this repo that is online, and this repo, if you run yarn, it installs all the dependencies. If you run yarn start, it runs a command that creates this website on my computer, it starts running the server. It's an application that we could serve on the cloud, right? So I'm gonna put here a note that a thing that we need to do on the steps required. Serve Perfect-Freehand remotely. All right, so that is there, and that's something for a future live stream. Okay, so we have this here, and we can close this repo, and we now know what Lerna is, but we don't really know how to use it really. So we'll have to dig a bit more on that to learn. And because we're working on, I think maybe these things are the things that are put here by React Strict, or maybe not, maybe just warnings from yarn running the app. So I can close my terminal, right? The application will still here. So I don't know why this is still there. But what I wanted to do is to run the app here so we can track everything on one screen. Yeah, now this starting as separate ports because port 5000 is in use. We didn't really stop the process. So we have two applications running now. To kill process, or like find process ID by name. I think it's less of something. Let's see, so we can stop this one. Okay, so this one is not running anymore, but this one is. All right. So I'm trying to find the node process that's running on port 5000. Let's run this again. So here, this is telling me that there is a node process that is running here or was running here. Let's take a look. Nothing. And another one here. Okay, pick kill. I don't understand. All right, so now I killed it, and I think this shouldn't be here anymore. And there is, in here there was this helper in which you can find the process and kill directly. We can try this. Let's see. So it would be yarn start again. So start that, and instead of this, we'll do arc first. Oh, okay. So if we do -t, we only get the port number. So if we do -i, we get everything, right? So here we could do this, get this, and then kill that, and then we've killed it. Okay, cool, great. So this, we're gonna kill that terminal, and we're gonna do yarn start. So we're gonna get back where we were. I want to say hello to Jean-Marc. Nice to see you, and thanks for connecting, saying hello. All right, so we have our files here. So we're back at where we were before, and we were taking a look at the application. So our application, let's probably just close our terminal. So we were saying that the entry point of this React application is at index.tsx. And that has the React strict mode and the application within. And here we have the HTML entry point, right? And this root component here is where our React application is mounted. And that is defined here, right? So the React component gets that element by ID. So let's say that React is loaded via TypeScript or JavaScript. The styles are also loaded. We load the app component here. And then we say, okay, mount my app component, which is being loaded here, into the root element by ID. So that's the element in here that has the ID with a value of root. Everything else is just the scaffold for how the application is going to be loaded. If you go into our localhost 5000 and we press on Mac Command Alt, you can see the source code, and this source code actually shows what I just said, right? That file is being loaded exactly as we can see here. The only difference is that the application is actually building the bundle.js and putting it there, the CSS, and later mounting on the root. If you load this without React, you won't see anything on your screen, but then React mounts all the application into this div element. This is going to be our base. It's just a React application. And then we have to specify a place in which the application knows how to build. And if we take a look here, build, it does node esbuild config, and then TypeScript project, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so this is a bit more convoluted than I'm going to explain now, but here's where we explain or tell the application how to build. Let's take a look at esbuild. This seems to me as an alternative to Webpack. Okay, so Webpack is the bundler or the application bundler that I know of and I've used. It's hard to work with, and it seems that Steve Ruiz is using esbuild, extremely fast JavaScript bundler, and it seems to be a lot faster than Webpack. I don't know how they do it, but this is crazy. This is a really nice. The time to the production of 10 copies of 3JS library from scratch using default settings, including unification, source maps, more info here. This is a really nice graph. Whoever made it is good marketing. We could see at some point how to use this, or even how to use Webpack. That is a good idea for future live streams. Okay, so that we'll put into topic ideas. Too many ideas. All right, so here we're gonna put web development basics. Let's say we'll put this here. Esbuild. All right, great. And yeah, this is going a bit slow because it's low. It's not easy. So we want, let's see, synchronous, otherwise it makes it there. We copy the file, so that's exactly the same. Build, entry point. Okay, so this is where we specify our application, where it's going to go, and more things. Is dev server, and this is where we tell it that it has to serve. So for serve, we're loading from create serve. Right, so this is what's being used. These are nice things that we can learn from and use for development in our own projects. In this case, we're going to use the project setup that we already have. And CL plus API. Need serve. This sounds crazy. One function. npm init serve. And this is where it reloads. This is pretty cool. All right, so I learned something today. So I'm going to make notes here of what things we've taken a look today, just to have markers later. So markers, and we'll have Radix UI, React, entry point 101, esbuild, cool. Perfect-Freehand, dev app, building. Okay, so yeah, I want to say hello also to those of you who are online right now. Do you have any thoughts on what we're doing? Does it seem productive? I just don't want to jump into developing something that is going to build, is going to be built on top of React and many things that I already know how they work. but you don't have an understanding, right? Later, we're gonna create a protocol for people to just expose their own interaction, let's say programs or bots or things. But for now, we need to create the base application so we can get to work. Okay, so recap. We have a React application. It's served with create_serve, it's built with esbuild. And we have a plugin for CSS models. So CSS files are being built as well. If it's a development server, the server starts, and every time we rebuild, this function runs, and on rebuild, we update. And if we have here that this is incremental, it probably doesn't rebuild everything, but just swaps whatever it has detected that changed. We're back now to React. So the entry point is at source/index.tsx. This is what's called the React entry point. It's the first file that is going to be called when we start or initiate the application. If you create a bundle with an entry point like this, it's going to be the first piece of code that is executed. That's going to be exported later to bundle.js, verified or not, and many other things. But we don't care about that right now. The important thing is that when our website loads with this code here, is going to load this file when the body is loaded. And this file is going to be coming here at index.tsx, which is our entry point, and executing this piece of code. This piece of code is going to say, okay, React render. In the root element, which we saw is here, and it's going to render the app component. And the app component is our entire application. So that's when now we jump into app.tsx. If you don't know, TSX is the equivalent to JSX in TypeScript. JS is the JavaScript extension. JSX is JavaScript extension that allows for passing elements like this that look like HTML. And if we have TSX is TypeScript with compatibility for those tags. So we can go here and look for JSX. And this is something that was introduced by React because it was really annoying to have to do this all the time. And this is how it's done. So this has created an element and then created a child element inside. If you want to see the differences, right, without JSX, where do we, yeah, I don't know where the examples are, but that's basically what it is. Okay, so TSX, app component, and now we open this app.tsx file. This doesn't have a lot of code either. We have also a call to React, so we're loading React. We're loading now our editor component, the controls, the panel, and use keyboard shortcuts from hooks. And our application is a JSX element. This is not the only way in which we can define it. This is typing the function type and or what's being returned from here. This is a JSX element. So if you take a look here, this is JSX elements, and all of these ones, so div, they all inherit from JSX element. All right, app wrapper, React.FC, function component, export default app wrapper. I don't know what this is for, so let's look at it so we don't do things that don't make sense. Thanks all. They are correct, but I was looking for a more detailed version. I did some research and found on this React TypeScript cheat sheets on GitHub. Function components, these can be written as normal functions that take a props argument and return a JSX element. What about React.FC and function component? You can also write components with React function component or the shorthand FC. Constant app, React.FC, blah, 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 blah. Some difference from the normal function. It provides type checking and autocomplete for static properties like display name, prop types, and default props. However, there are currently known issues using default props with React function components. See this issue, scroll down, blah, blah, blah. All right, so it's a function component. It's explicit about the return time. It's implicit. Why is React.FC discouraged? This is a nuanced opinion, of course, but if you agree, Want to remove from your code, you can use this JS code shift code mode. Okay, I'm not sure. Yeah, rabbit hole. I don't know. We don't care at the moment. Let's close things here. Again, we're just looking at the app and we have this on. For speed of the live stream, I'm going to stop it and we can continue. All right, so we use keyboard shortcuts from hooks, panel control editor, and we put them here, right? So we're putting our application here, and or the use hooks is just use keyboard shortcuts. If we go, so we start the application again. So if we go here and we reload, I press Command-Alt-J on Mac and go to Elements. You can also just click here and do inspect and you'll open this panel. You can see here dynamically the components that have been mounted on root. If I reload, that the application at the beginning doesn't have anything, but then suddenly the root component gets expanded, right? So you see there's nothing, and then the entire React application gets instantiated or mounted here. We have this div class app that was added here. This is something optional. We don't really need it. And then we have a set of components which they have obfuscated class names, I think. And we have all of these other components here. So each of these containers represents one of the items on the website. So we could dynamically say, okay, what is this component? It gets, I click, right click, and then go into inspect, click, it selects here the element that belongs to that one. And I can see if we go up to this level, we can see that this website is made out of a few different components. Let's make this big. So we have this container, which has some layer that takes the screen. So I can remove that. That seems to be our canvas. I can do Control-Z and go back. So that's our canvas. We have this container, which contains all of our customization panel, also the top bottom, I think. And if we close, you see when I open it, this open class reappears. So I can actually click here or press delete, and that item altogether gets deleted. There is this other element that is separate, the clicker button, so I can remove it. There is this GitHub icon. There is the bottom draw element that I'm not sure you can see. So here, draw. I'm not sure what that is for. Clear, draw, not sure, but we can delete it. We have this panel here, we can delete as well. And then we have the header. So if we do all of those, we actually see that there is one component that is our infinite or endless canvas. So we can see here that component, and I actually have, I can do undo redo stack. So yeah, okay. Going back, we can bring this back here. And what we can see is that there are different components. Each of those components is independent in some way, and it continues working even if we remove the others. So we could strip our application down to the basics. And what you can see is that each of those drawing pieces has some padding. Each stroke has some padding. So if I do this, for instance, that gets added into that container of my sketches. And it's not more than what I believe is an SVG drawing, right? Yeah, so it has an SVG drawing. It has a lot of transforms. So the width, the translation of where it is. So I guess like this might be the origin of the app. So if we reload, we're gonna reload everything. So this is here. I'm gonna try to inspect it again. So we have the path and we have the transform. So if I untransform everything, everything's gonna start. So this is the 0, 0 for application. And yeah, so if I remove the transform of all of the strokes, they're all gonna start in here. that is where the 0,0 of our application lies. So it's here. So if I drew, for example, letter A, when I right click and inspect, I can remove that transform. So let's try to inspect that one exactly. And the A will get located there. Oh, that's not it. Wow. Okay. So this is great. So the application also has, this is pretty cool. This is something, we're getting a lot of stuff for free. As soon as the drawing, so this thing here is going to enter the canvas, it gets added into the actual canvas. Otherwise it doesn't get rendered. That's pretty cool. Okay, nice. So, and I think we can zoom in and out, so I can still do what I was saying that I wanted to do. You see, and we just get everything on the origin. Okay, great. Cool. So that was just a quick overview on how React is rendering elements in our application. And what is super cool, if we reload this app, right? This re-renders our letters. So we can maybe draw letter B here and C and D, right? I can go here into the application. We can see that the dev server keeps running. And I could comment out the controls, for example. This says updated dev, and now the panel, so the controls, don't show up anymore. So let me do that again. So I wait, and then the controls show up. So the app does reload automatically. It's like automatic refresh, and then we have the panel, which unloads the menu that was located in here. All right, so we have the editor, the controls, and the panel. And I'm not sure where all the other components are. So that's the panel. And it seems like the panel contains all of the UI elements, right? Yeah, so we have all of the UI elements there. They are around the screen. So this is our panel has those elements. We could just load our controls, or we could just load our editor. And it seems like the editor is loading the important CSS. So I'm going to put the controls there. And now you see that the styling is being loaded probably, I don't know, I'll venture to say on the wrong place, but whatever. The application is really nice. Cool. And the dev server keeps updating, so I'm going to close that. We don't really care. And now we have the possibility of diving into these three worlds, right? The most boring probably is the panel. First, let's take a look at the hooks. We just load the hook by calling this function, and this is here. So app from state, and we just have a set of commands. So we have use hotkeys, which is React hotkeys hook, and that seems to be a package. We are using a lot of packages. React hook for using keyboard shortcuts in components. This is a hook version for the hotkeys packages. Easy to use. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, this is easy, right? Use keyboard shortcuts. It's using this library, and we could add here, I don't know, like Command T, and we can say alert. You pressed letter T, right? So our application reloads, and now I do Command T. Oh, that is a problem. So let's do let's see, what is Command I? Yeah. So let's do Command I, for instance. All right. So I do Command I, and then we get you press letter I, right? So that's easy. It's just a plugin that with hooks, it lets you attach this behavior into this is a hook, and we can call it on any component, and then we create another hook applying it to the app component. So if I remove this from here, I lose the capability to undo and redo with the keyboard. So we're gonna probably keep that. And yeah, so now I can do this and redo here. So that's pretty cool because we can do things like this. Okay, so that works. So we have our clear. So we understand, right? We're diving into the application. So we see this is the React, strict mode, the app. gets created or instantiated or mounted, right? It's probably the term, mounted on the div that has root as ID. And that application component is here. It loads the use keyword hooks, that loads the React hotkeys hook library and establishes or says what happens when you run a set of shortcuts. We also load the editor controls and panel components that are defined on the application we haven't seen yet, but we know that the panel creates all the UI, the bottom to bring our controls panel, the header, the GitHub link, the label draw on the left, and the redo, undo, and clear button. So that's the panel. The controls panel is this panel here with the UI that in which we can tweak many different things. So let me just reset, so I can tweak things here and like tweak things live. This is using the Radix UI live. And lastly, we have the editor, which is probably the most interesting. The controls are great, but the editor is the most interesting, and we're leaving that for later. So we load each of these components saying, okay, load panel from components panel. This statement, so if we go, for example, to the panel, this statement, what it does is that tries to look in the index.tsx for something exported. So it's exporting everything from panel, right? Panel has its own CSS code here for styling, but really panel, apart from importing those CSS statements, it loads React. And then it also gets the state, right? Use app state and app. Import GitHub logo icon, hamburger menu from Radix UI React icons. That's the library we've seen before. We haven't looked at the state, so we need to see where state is. State is at the top of the application. So in state, we have, what is this? Flash, tldraw, corners. I don't know what this is for, but React, the eSIM functions, we have state, right? So this is loading up from state. Okay, so this ports everything from state. I don't know why there's all this stuff here. And then we have utils, point in polygon, copy text to clipboard. Yeah, these are helper functions and utilities. So this is our state, right? So we're loading doc, draw shape, draw styles, and state from types. And types is probably also at the same level. So we have hooks, components, state, and types, maybe draw styles, draw shape, doc, state. Here's where we can understand the data structures that are meant to be used with this application, and it's really nice because we could build upon it. It's like a fully fledged application. Okay, let's go back to state, and here we have tldraw core. This is a package that is being released, but it's currently something called sponsorware. So this is not open source anymore. This was made private a bit ago, and I'm not sure. So if we take a look here, so this is tldraw core, 3 hours ago. So he's working on this right now. Steve Ruiz on YouTube. Okay, so this package here, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to do one thing. So this is live stream. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to make the directory for live 42. And I'm just going to do really quickly npm init. And I'm going to npm install tldraw core. Just this package. I don't know how many dependencies it has, if any. But what I saw is this, that this is now a private repository under development that is sponsorware. Example showing how the tldraw component can be used to control in the React app. So there is a Discord server for tldraw. This usually makes my stream slower, so probably gonna close. Alright, so this is still fetching. Okay, there might be a bit of lag when I do this. So what we've done here is that now we have tldraw and its dependencies and the current state. Okay, so let's enter. All right, we'll take a look later. So this is the Discord server of the developers of the library that we're using, mainly Steve Ruiz. I don't know if there's any other people. Okay, so we have here the tldraw package, and this is obfuscated, so this is just all the code in the library, so we won't see anything, but at least we have the package saved. And we're going to, if I am here, okay, so I put that on folder 42, so I'm going to do tldraw core backup. Is that what it is? So this is 42, negative 42, move. All right, so we have that folder saved now here. So this is tldraw, and we have core and intersect. And let's actually try tldraw. Is that a package as well? Yes, and npm install tldraw. All right, let's see. Back. Okay, down package JSON. Let's see what's going on here. Next dev, next yarn dev. So we see port is already in use. Let's go to nono.ma new, and let's put the solution here. Solved. Okay, so I'm just putting here the error that I found, and I think we can just specify the port. Okay. All right. Is the stream smooth? It says here that it's slowing down a bit. Not sure why. I'm not sure. Let me stop the application server. Okay, and let's try to see this up. All right. Are you guys, so is it going smooth? It says, YouTube said that it's going a bit slow. All right, what else is here? We have more options. All right, this is pretty cool. Okay, so I can have pages, we can clear, we can draw. So for example, I can, okay, so let's do a quick drawing. So we have this color. All right, so we can select this, deform it. All right, so we got this, and I could do now copy to SVG. Can I do that? So if we save here, it's really slow to paste things here. Probably better simply to do something like this, a little faster. Okay, so I'm gonna close this one. And yeah, so I've just saved this to SVG, so it seems like it's also there. Don't find it. All right, so yeah, this is an awesome application. So let's go back to here, changing document, control props. All right, awesome. So this is, we're gonna move from examples to tldraw examples, so we know what this is, and we're gonna move it also to 42. Great. I'm gonna close this. Oh, not that. Okay, so we were taking a look at the state, because we've seen that we load tldraw core, we load these properties, and the pinch event handler, pointer event handler, shape utils, will event handler utils, and the vex from there. We load a lot of other utilities, and we use sustan to persist state. So this is the document model. So we have page state, the camera point, selected IDs, ID page, default style, drawing styles, okay, initial state, create content, state manager, set snapshot, on pointer app. So it seems like this defines the overall behavior of the application. Is going to be important for us. There's a lot of state here. Zoom to content, reset styles. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff here. Okay, but our application has these components, so we are gonna take a brief look. So we need to take a deeper look into some of these things. Just dev, source, components. So the important one is the editor. We have the panel. So in the panel, we actually have, so the header, the GitHub bot, hamburger menu icon to toggle, app toggle, panel open. So these are commands, toggle panel open. So we do app, we have all the commands that are defined on the state file. Then we have draw, select, drawing tool, draw. On click, yes. Yeah, mark. Yeah, we could do that. We could save different steps along the drawing and build a GIF on the fly. I have an example. I think it's this one, maybe or not. Not sure what example I'm talking about. This one, the recording. Okay, let's see the commands. Recording E. Okay, so in this app, right? So I have made the canvas small because that way it's faster. So I can draw and I can actually say record. So you see the red thing, and in the bottom we can see the amount of frames that are being recorded, right? And now I can press S, and then this means that it's saving the frames that we saved. So it's going to export them to the download. That takes some time because it uses the web worker on the tab. If we close, the process stops, but it should be happening. Let's see, is that being created? Let me take a look at the source code. Oh yeah, here it is. So we just created this GIF, right? So that's with web components. So we can actually create a GIF like that. All right. What else? These as well we could save. Okay. Back to where we were. Okay, select the drawing tool. That's what I was looking at because I'm not sure what that does. We have this draw, select drawing tool, and okay, so batch states. We only have that status pinching this app state. Okay, so that's something to do with app state. Okay, there are a lot of commands here and we could get lost. Yeah, these are other commands. So the panel calls commands that we define on state. Then we have the controls that has sub components. So controls, we find the colors, we load the colors, checkbox, select the slider, and size change start. So yeah, we have a lot of handlers here. Probably just the UI element at the bottom. So if we were to change this live 42 and we put here the maximum to be 42 and minimum to be 0, there we go. So we have that being 42 and it's bound to the same properties. We can write. Okay, so yeah, we can customize these as we want, and we have the styles here. We could customize them, and yeah, then later individually, like the select, the slider, the checkbox, and the colors, right? So these are all custom components that are customized from the Radix UI library. All right, and then afterwards we have the editor. So the editor is here. So we have all these methods that we obtain from the app and window freehand app. And we have the render page state, and pointer down. Everything's managed from the application. And then we have the TL core. So we have the renderer, which is in tldraw core. So we are not going to be able to get to the actual gist of this application and reuse it. We're not going to be able to customize that, but does that matter? Can we just get okay, so state on, right? So all the behavior is inside of here. So we could prevent panning, for instance, if we want it. And all right, so I think this work session was needed. So we've been taking a look. Yeah, what do you mean from Steve? Are you talking, Rob, are you talking about the tldraw core library? I think, I'm not sure. Oh, so where did you talk to him about this? Oh, his Discord. Okay. Did you write that? You asked that? I'm just curious. Okay, so that's September. So that's just ask that. What channel is that? It's curious to read that conversation. Let's take a look of what we're using. Hey Steve, yeah, I'm testing a few different techniques for that. That makes sense. Cool. Now I understand. In development, okay. Well, that makes sense. I don't know. It's good to see that at some point everything might be, so the core, the SDK might be open source, even if the rest of the app is not. But I will finish here. So I want to spend some time with you guys. So this is work session, I think it's work session 3. We'll hopefully be editing these ones and putting them somewhere that you can see for people to watch or rewatch or whatever separately. So I think, so what I'll do, I don't know, we haven't really changed anything, but what I can do is that I can move this to, so we just understood how this works. So I can move this also to the folder with the files from today, and we'll keep working on this next week. We haven't done a lot with the AI sketching project today, only the kind of the drawing app overview. It's been a work session of the AI sketching app that we need, and we definitely haven't looked at WebSockets or any other sort of collaborative protocols. I think what we need is, we could think of starting to develop the application with the inner workings of what Steve has put in place with the development application, and just trying to create a protocol in which we can add to that canvas some other overlaid images or something that you just get the stroke that you're drawing with the pen, and submit that to the bots that we want in order to receive suggestions on the same canvas. It was good to learn the overall architecture of the application, and another step that we need is to see how the WebSockets or WebRTC plays. We already have that awesome drawing app that has a working example of how to use the Perfect-Freehand and YJS to do the communication. So we have a lot of stuff covered, but we need to understand how all of the things work before we can get to work with them. So it seems that we're gathering interest from different people, so we should meet on a Zoom meeting and maybe even have that live in a live stream, and we should get to know each other and talk about the project and see. I want to get the project going a bit more, so when we have a bit more content or something that people can actually play with. And yeah, I would say, so the challenge, what we could do this week, maybe let's write it here. Try to build Perfect-Freehand development server on your local machine and customize, change UI components from it. Maybe add new buttons or sliders or behaviors. So that could be a good challenge. So I'm going to replace the pin message. And yeah, it was a pleasure being here. I think this has been a productive session. It was Nono Martinez Alonso here. You can watch any of the previous live streams or videos at nono.ma/live, or just go to YouTube and look for Nono Martinez Alonso. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.